Alright, so I made a recent YouTube video covering Qui's race. Now I'm making one about the little guys at the bottom. But to be transparent, it's actually about the two common freizas, soldier species, who are most noticeably known by their respective names, freiza's soldiers. You can't go further down than that. Not even bothered to get your own name for your alien race. But luckily, you can at least separate the two by two smaller distinguishing names given to each. The horned soldiers and the fish head soldiers, you can also call the fish head soldiers Lord Slug soldiers. The weird thing about Lord Slug soldiers, even though they're the same fish head species as freiza's soldier species, the biggest difference is they can only survive in a cold, icy wasteland and can't tolerate the sun. Most likely why they can't tolerate the sun has to do with traveling with Lord Slug for so long in the darkness, as nomads as described by King Kai. And that probably changed Lord Slug's, soldiers' physical biology, to only tolerate cold environments. But most notably, they were probably traveling throughout the demon realm that had altered those fish head soldier species. So how weak do you think these common freiza soldiers can be? Well, here's a little fun fact. Chi-Chi can explain it to you.
He's Freiza's underling too. It looks like even I could beat him.
But even though some may be on the weaker side, some can even get to elite tier rankings. Just like how they took down Kid Gohan with a volley of Ki blasts, and none of them had arm cannons. And I would also like to point out that Kid Gohan's previous power level was 10,000 as read by Turles Scouter. This also reminds me how Bardock was able to fight off more of Frieza's soldiers. And in the beginning of the special, it was said his power level was soon surpassing King Vegeta, who has a power level of 10,000. But Kid Gohan had that power level in the previous movie Tree of Might, meaning he could have gotten stronger since then, but then why did he struggle more than Bardock? Well, I guess Majin Buu's form can explain. So when the good and evil Buu split, their powers split too, but the evil side kept most of the power. So when he beats the good Buu and eats him, he attains a better body more suitable for fighting. Here's some notable elites. Dodoria's elites, which has Isbei, a member of Apple's race, which has a power level of 4,800. He was the first to be taken out by Bardock. Then we have one of Lord Slug's soldiers named Pierre, who was used as a shield by Bardock to gourd himself from Kai blasts, and he has a power level of 4,800. Then Lubby, who got a hole punch through his back, he has a power level of 5,000 and last. But the strongest of the team, the Horn Gang leader, who has a power level of 7,000. Out of so many of Frieza's soldiers, only the chosen few have made it to elite status, for example, Napple. Napple was among the soldiers Frieza took with him on Namek. In Mori's village, he taunts the three warrior-type Namekians for having a power level of 1,000. Napple is presumably the strongest of Frieza's Namek village raiding group, other than Apul, Dodoria, Zarbon, and Frieza himself. However, he is defeated by the Namekian warriors, who each have power levels of at least 3,000 each. But besides Napple, who most likely has a power level of 1,825, stated in a video game, and not 5,800 stated by a different video game, we have another prodigy most barely even remembered or even thought he was in more than 2 episodes, and that is Orlen, who is another member of Apul's race, and he has a power level of 5,600, and people don't know it, but he was also with Apul fighting and raiding the villages, but for some reason he has an arm cannon. So it wasn't just Apul and the elites who survived, cause Orlen was there too. But are all Frieza soldiers who use arm cannons really weak? Well, excepting the ones Gohan and Krillin first fight Banan, and Sui, who had a power level of 980 and 840, and most importantly, most with arm cannons are really weak. But there's some that actually are in fact strong, but don't know or can be able to fight with Ki. The arm cannon amplifies the user's Ki and fires it at a level suiting their battle power. They also enable the user to fly. Here's an example. King Vegeta got his strongest men, and you could see he had at least 13 or more. He goes off to take back his son, Prince Vegeta, from Frieza, but is met with Frieza's soldiers who all had arm cannons. And at the end, you only see 5 men left with King Vegeta. After pondering this about the arm cannons, it got me to do some research on Mecha Frieza and King Cold on the soldiers he brought to Earth. Here's a fun fact. In Israel, while the show aired for the first time in 2003, the Kids channel posted a list of power levels till the Trunks saga on their website, which was based mostly on the translation of the Daisenshu, which stated they were at 5,000 each and were called Frieza's top men. So if the weakest of those soldiers Frieza brought to Earth are at 5,000, and supposedly that squadron is named Frieza's subordinates that he and King Cold brought. But anyways, that would mean the first 3 Trunks sliced up were at 5,000, because I guess rule of thumb, the weakest fighters fight first. So IRU is above 5,000. So I'm assuming Iru, the arm cannon, soldier, would be above 5,000 in power level, but can't use ki. And I guess there's a quote about elite tier captains from Toriyama designing them with V-neck armors like Captain Ginyu's to notice them apart, and King Cold's captain has a V-neck armor. So I would assume he has a power level comparable or above Captain Ginyu. And especially Frieza told Trunks he was impressed after beating his squad. Here's a good example of how bad Videl is at producing ki from this video game clip. But I had no idea if one of those 2 low-ranking soldiers beat the other, they'll skip Apple and Qui, be right there second to Dodoria and Zarbon, as said in the special commentary clip.
I'll get that promotion to be Lord Frieza's number 2.
And here's a little bit about Super and how Frieza made a new army and brought some mercenaries, but most were second-rate warriors, except for another one of Apul's race, who led 2 more members on attacking Gohan at the same time that Gohan had to put effort on his counter-strike on making a huge energy wave, taking them more serious after. So I guess having a power level over 1,000 is nothing to laugh at. I mean, Chili was getting so mad in Dragon Ball Super. She thought it was impossible before she met Broly, but also liked to point out how the games follow the movies and show really good that they didn't even forget about Chi-Chi. And here's an exclusive secret commentary from one of the games only. Some characters interact with certain special dialogue for making towards the end.
Together, we would be the strongest force in the universe!
Please, you may have raised your power level, but you're still no match for my transformed state.